Hi, what's up, guys? So today I'm gonna be making a video explaining variables, what variables are in depth. Gosh, but in short, variables are just like they're just storages for data, right? For singular data or multiple data if you want to get into tables. But I'll make a separate video on tables later on. So we're gonna start off by declaring a variable, my variable, right? And we're gonna set this variable to 7. Okay, so here in line 1 we just said my variable equals 7. My variable is gonna be the variable name, and 7 is gonna be what it's equal to, right? So if I were to type in print my variable, it's gonna print out 7 because that's what the variable is holding, right? These variables can also hold string values. So if I were to do my variable equals who's right, and now to print out my variable again, is going to print out who's Kwabi, my name, right? They can also hold double values, and if I were to print it out again, it's going to print out 5, or no, it's going to print out 5 because the print statement truncates, decimals that end in 0. So if I did 5.0, it's going to print out 5 because it's just 5.0 equals 5. But if I were to do 5.5, right, it's going to print out 5.5, right? So variables can hold more things than just numbers and string values. They can hold Boolean values, and what Boolean values are they're like how do I explain this without confusing? Boolean values, they're basically just simple values that either return true or false, right? So this is a Boolean value as well as this is a Boolean value. These values are used to they're mainly used in conditional statements, which I'll be making a video on later on. So if I were to print out my variable now, when I set it to equal to false, it's gonna print out false, right? And if I were to do true, it's gonna also print out true, right? There's also a special value called nil. This basically means nothing. It means nothing, or like none, or just like empty, right? So for some reason, if your variable was not equal to like a proper value, or just didn't have any value in it, it would print out nil. Oops, hold on. It would print out nil. Boom, as you can see. Oh, that was an accident. But yeah, as you can see, it print out nil. So what I've done here is like I declared the value, right? I declared the variable my value, and I set it equal to nil, right? You can also declare multiple values at once. So if you did my variable 1, and then comma my variable 2, and then you did nil equals nil and comma equals let's say 5. What this line is saying is that my variable 1 equals nil, and then my variable 2 equals 5. So now if I were to print my variable 1 comma my variable 2, and I were to print it, it would print out nil and 5. As you can see, nil and 5, right? Let's say I changed my variable 1 from being nil to, I set it to equal to 3, and I did my variable 1 plus, print my variable 1 plus my variable 2. It should print out 8. Boom. And yeah, so that's honestly what variables are. But when you're naming your variables, you gotta be very careful because variable names can start from, like, you can name a variable, like, it has to start, you can start with any letter on the alphabet as well as the underscore, right? So if I did underscore my variable equals this, and I were to print this out, it would print out 3. But the thing is that you cannot name your variable. Your variable cannot start with a number. So if I did my 3 variable right here, right, you see how it's not even matching the same color. And if I were to try to print that out, since it starts with a number, it's not gonna print out. See, it's gonna give me an error right here because you cannot name your variable, like, it cannot start with a number. You can have a number in your variable, but it just can't start with a number. So if I did like number 3, right, equals 3, and then I just print out number 3, it's gonna print out 3. Boom. So just make sure you keep that in mind. Roblox also has a bunch of like keywords in it, which you can't use those to name your variables. For example, game is a keyword, and that's referring to everything that's inside right here. That everything that's inside right here is parented under game. So you can't use the game as a keyword, as a variable. Okay, so if I were to try to print out game, it's not gonna print out what you want, right? It's gonna eat at least, what the hell. Okay, so it does print out 3, but like, just don't use keywords as variables, because that's gonna give you a lot of problems down the road. So just try to stay away from using keywords. So for example, workspace is also a keyword. Okay, don't use if it's highlighted in blue, that means it's a keyword, so don't use that as a variable. Okay, but if you really want to use the word game as a variable, right, you can just do like underscore game, and then that's, you know, you can use that as a variable instead of using the actual keyword. So yeah, you can also set variables. You can also store like items, like instances in variables. For example, I'm going to spawn a part in the workspace. Now we got a part right here, and to basically store that part as the variable, you want to do I'm going to name my variable name part, and we're going to do part equals workspace dot part, right? And this is basically saying that this variable part is going to be like a reference to this part right here, right? So now if I were to do print part dot name, is going to print out part, because this part's name is part. So if I print out part, boom, you can see part right there. Let me give you another example. So if I were to click on this part and I look in the properties of this part, you can see the material of this part is plastic, right? You can see right here, it's plastic, right? So if I did print out, so if I wanted to print out the material, I'll do print part dot material, right? And it's gonna print out this enum material dot plastic. That's what it is. Okay, plastic. Cool. If I did print part dot brick color, it should print out medium stone gray, because that's the color of this part. So part, we're gonna do print part dot brick color. Okay, and boom, as you can see, it prints out medium stone gray, because that's the color of the part. So yeah, that's basically what variables are. Hopefully everything made sense to you. If you have any questions, just let me know down below in the comments, and I'll try to get to it as soon as possible.